Hello all, today I'm going to be talking with you about how to use the guided access feature on an iPad. The guided access feature is a very useful tool to either use with small children or with students in your classroom. What it allows you to do is to lock the iPad onto one app, and so they will be unable to access other parts of the iPad. This is useful for small children in that it prevents them from touching things they shouldn't be touching on your iPad, and for students because it keeps them on the task that you have assigned to them. What you need to do to access this feature is to first click on Settings. So go ahead and click on Settings, and from Settings you're going to need to click on the General Settings. That's already highlighted in blue for you right there. In the general settings, what you'll need to find is the accessibility features. You can see it right next to the highlighted blue there, and click on accessibility. Accessibility gives you lots of functions to customize the use of your iPad. It's generally for people that have a hard time interacting with the iPad otherwise. But we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and we're going to look at the learning functions. And the one you're going to click on is all the way at the bottom. That's the guided access function. You'll notice mine is already on, but you'll open it and it'll look like this, guided access. And so what you need to do is just click guided access to turn it on. It'll give you a few different options. The other one you want to make sure is turned on is this accessibility shortcut. I'll explain a couple of the other options in a second, but what the accessibility shortcut is going to enable you to do is to access a few of these functions more easily. Now, the way to access guided access is to go to an app, and then when you're in the app, you need to quickly triple click the home button. So let's go to an app right now, and we'll see what that looks like. We'll click on Fish HD. This is a great app for preschool age, kindergarten age, to learn letters, numbers, shapes, colors, all of that. So what we're going to do right now is you're going to triple click the home button. You need to do it really quickly because otherwise it'll just take you to the home screen or to the app switching screen. So you're going to triple click it really quickly, and it will come up with this screen here once you've done that. This is the guided access screen. From here we have a couple options to customize our guided access. The first one you'll notice in the bottom left is the hardware option buttons. We can make it so these students cannot touch various hardware buttons on the iPad, or rather they won't function when they do touch them. For example, we can toggle the sleep and wake button, meaning if it's off, they can't turn off the iPad. Same with the volume buttons. Right now, the student would be unable to change the volume. This is helpful if you want them all to be muted or you want them to be at a low volume. But of course, you could turn that on if you are comfortable with having the students choose their own volume. You can, of course, also change the ability to use the motion function in the iPad or the keyboards, depending on your needs. The second function that you have here is the touch function. It's right in the middle of your screen at the very bottom. And if you toggle the touch function off, the student is unable to interact with the touch function of the iPad. With the touch function disabled, they can touch the screen all they want, but it won't do anything. This is useful if you're, for example, having the students watch a movie and you don't really want them to do anything else on the iPad, and they disable the touch function, they can just watch the movie, they can't do anything else. Alternatively, you can select certain areas where they can't touch. Notice that button at the top right that says Khan Academy. Let's say I don't want them to be able to touch that button. I simply draw a box on the screen. It'll turn itself into a much nicer box than I have drawn, and I just slide it over the Khan Academy, and then I can use those circular buttons to put it into a nice box right over the button I don't want them to click. Of course, to get rid of that, I would just click on the X in the upper left-hand corner, and it disappears. Again, all you need to do that is to draw a box with your finger, and it will become a much nicer box than what you've drawn. So let's put that back over there. The last option I want to talk about is the time limit function. Let's say, for example, you only have a limited number of iPads, and so the students have to take turns. Let's say, for example, they only get 10 minutes on each iPad. What you need to do is toggle that button and turn on the function, and then you can just slide it to 10 minutes. Now, if I were to enable that, the student would have 10 minutes on the iPad, and after 10 minutes, the screen would lock, and they would not be able to do anything anymore until they hand it to you to enter your password. The next thing you need to do, after you've selected the options you've wanted, make sure you have the options you wanted, is you just need to click the Start button, which is in the upper left-hand corner. Click Start, and you'll need to enter a passcode. I suggest entering a passcode you remember because you're going to need to use it later. For the example of this, I'll just enter 1111. It'll ask you to do it again to make sure you have the right passcode and didn't make a button mistake. And now you go into guided access. You'll hand the iPad to the student and they cannot do anything they're not supposed to. So from here, they shouldn't be able to touch that button up there, and if ever they try to click the home button, what will come up is a button that says you need to triple click the home button to exit. And then if you triple click the home button, it'll ask you for the passcode. If they don't know the passcode, they cannot get out of the app. We know the passcode, so we'll click on 1111. And then we'll go back to this feature. To get out of guided access, all you need to do is click on the end button in the upper left-hand corner. And if you wanted to just change some features and go back, you could change the features and click on the resume button in the upper right-hand corner. Those are the basic features of the guided access function. You can also customize some of the time limit functions. You can have it play a sound or speak when it's getting close to the end of guided access. You can also set it to use your Touch ID instead of a password to get out of guided access. That's how to use guided access. It is a great function to keep students on task and to have them be working on what you want them to be working on instead of fooling around with the iPads. Thank you so much.